The heavens rumbled with a fading thunder, the sound of the whirlwind retreating into the unseen realm, leaving behind a silence so profound it felt heavy on shoulders. Elisha stood alone in the swirling dust, his eyes fixed on the empty sky where his master had just been taken, his heart pounding with a mixture of grief and terrifying awe. At his feet lay the rough, heavy mantle of Elijah, the symbol of a burden and a power that now belonged solely to him.
Help us.
He remembered his own bold request, the words echoing in his mind. Please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me.
We beg you, help us.
Slowly, with trembling hands, Elisha bent down and grasped the mantle, the rough fabric scratching his skin, sealing his destiny as the prophet of Israel.
Help us.
He returned to the banks of the Jordan, struck the water as his master had, and walked across on dry ground, his face set like flint toward a future of miracles. The men of Jericho, seeing him return alone, yet carrying an undeniable aura of authority, approached him with a mixture of respect and desperation. Please notice, the city elders said, gesturing to the lush palms that surrounded their city. The situation of this city is pleasant, as my Lord sees. But the water is bad, they confessed, their voices dropping to a whisper of shame, and the ground is barren, bringing death instead of life. Elisha looked at the streams that should have brought life, but instead brought miscarriage and sickness, and he knew God's power was needed immediately to establish his office. Bring me a new bowl, he commanded, his voice steady, and put salt in it. They scrambled to obey, bringing him a pristine vessel filled with salt, watching with bated breath as he walked to the spring of the waters. He cast the salt into the bubbling source, not as a magic trick, but as a prophetic act of purification. Thus says the Lord, I have healed this water. From it there shall be no more death or barrenness, he proclaimed over the gurgling spring. The murky water seemed to clear instantly, rushing forth with a new vitality, healed to this day according to the word Elisha spoke. From Jericho, he began the steep ascent toward Bethel, a journey that would test the respect of the nation for their new prophet. As he walked the dusty road, a gang of youths from the city, products of a culture that had mocked God for generations, came out to harass him. They surrounded him, jeering and pointing, shouting, "Go up, you bald head! Go up, you bald head!" mocking both his appearance and the ascension of his master Elijah. Elisha turned, his eyes flashing with a terrifying divine anger, seeing not just childish pranks, but a deep-seated rebellion against the Lord. He pronounced a curse on them in the name of the Lord, and the woods nearby cracked with the sound of breaking timber. Two female bears, driven by a supernatural fury, burst from the tree line and mauled 42 of the mockers, a grim reminder that God's prophet was not to be trifled with. Years passed, and the fame of Elisha grew, but so did the suffering of the faithful in a land that had largely turned its back on God. A weeping woman, the widow of one of the sons of the prophets, threw herself at Elisha's feet, her face stained with tears and dust. "Your servant, my husband, is dead," she cried out, her voice breaking with panic, "and you know that your servant feared the Lord." But the creditor is coming,
Please,
she gasped,
Tell
clutching
me
at his
what
robe.
you have in
He is
your
coming to take my
house.
2 sons to be his
What is
slaves to
it
pay
you
the
are
debt.
carrying?
Elisha
That
looked at
is
her
where
with
we
compassion,
must go.
his mind racing for a
Help
solution that would
awaits
provide
us
not
there.
just for today, but for her future. What shall I
That
do
is
for
where
you?
we must
He
go.
asked gently.
Help awaits us there.
She
You
lowered
must
her head,
gather many,
ashamed of her
for
poverty.
the Lord will multiply.
A
Go,
smile
shut the
touched
door upon
Elisha's
yourself and your
lips
sons.
as he saw the
Pour
seed
into
of
all
a
these
miracle.
vessels, and do not stop until they...
Empty vessels, he emphasized. Do not gather just a few. Get as many as you can carry. When you have come in, you shall shut the door behind you and your sons, and then pour it into all those vessels and set aside the full ones. The woman ran home, desperation fueling her steps, and sent her sons scrambling through the neighborhood to beg for jars, pots, and bowls. Inside their small hut, with the door shut against the world and the creditors, she lifted her single small jar of oil.
We have so much!
She tipped it over the first large clay pot, and the golden liquid flowed, filling the pot to the brim. Yet her small jar remained heavy. Bring me another, she cried to her sons, her eyes widening in wonder as the oil continued to pour like a river. Pot after pot was filled, the entire room glowing with the scent of rich olive oil, a fortune accumulating on her dirt floor. Bring me another vessel, she commanded, breathless with the labor of the miracle. There is
Go now,
not
sell
another
the oil
vessel,
and pay your
her son
debt.
replied,
May you
looking
and your
around the
sons
room
live on what is
crowded with
left.
brimming jars.
Thank you, my lord.
The moment the last vessel was full,
Please,
the
man of
oil
God,
ceased flowing,
come and eat
the
some
divine
bread at our
supply perfectly
house.
matching her faith
Thank you.
and
I
capacity.
appreciate your kindness.
See,
She ran
the
to the
plans are
man of
brilliant.
God,
We'll
her
build
face
the finest upper
radiant
chamber in
with
the
relief.
land. It will be wonderful, you'll see.
Elisha's travels took him often to Shunem, where a wealthy and notable woman began to show him great kindness. She persuaded him to eat,
I want
and
you to
eventually,
take this staff
recognizing
and
the
go
holiness
down to the
radiating
village
from him,
immediately.
she convinced her
See that
husband
this
to
is
build a
done
small
quickly.
upper room
It
for the
shall
prophet.
be done.
Is
It was
there
a
something
sanctuary
you
of
require?
peace, furnished
wish
with a
to show
bed,
our
a table,
My
a chair,
Lord, you are
and a
too
lampstand,
kind.
a place where
I have
Elisha could rest
everything
his
I
weary
need
head.
right here.
Grateful for her
Master,
hospitality,
I
Elisha
saw them
sat in the
hiding
room
the
one day
silver and the
and asked
garments
his
near the
servant
gate.
Gehazi,
We should
call the
retrieve
Shunammite
them
woman.
quickly.
When she stood
Master,
respectfully before him,
I saw
Elisha
them hiding
asked
the
what could be done
silver
for
and the
her,
garments near
offering
the
to speak
gate.
to the king or
We
the
should
commander of the
retrieve them
army.
quickly.
I dwell among my own people, she replied with quiet dignity, content with her life and needing no political favors. But
By this
Gehazi,
time next
observant
year,
and
you will
shrewd,
hold a son
whispered to
in
his
your
master,
arms.
actually,
Do not doubt.
she has no
For
son,
this
and her
is
husband
the
is old.
promise of the Lord.
Elisha felt the
beg
stir
you,
of
do not lie
prophecy
to
within
me.
him and called her back
Do
to the
not
doorway.
mock me with this hope.
About this time next year, he promised, locking eyes with her, you shall embrace a son.
Get
Her
him out of
face
the way, we
crumpled
have
with a
work to do.
mixture of hope and
Yes, sir.
fear.
Get
But the
him
word
out
of the
way,
Lord
we
is
have
sure,
work to do.
and the woman conceived and
Yes,
bore a
sir.
son at the appointed time, bringing joy to a
There,
silent house.
there, it's all right. Get
The
him
child
out of the way, we
grew
have work
strong,
to do.
running through the
Yes,
fields,
sir.
until one fateful morning during the
There,
harvest.
there, it's all right.
He stood among the reapers and suddenly clutched his forehead, screaming, "My head! My head!" His father, busy with the work, ordered a servant carry him to his mother. The boy sat on his mother's lap, his breathing shallow and ragged, until noon, when his small body went limp and he died. With a
Send me
heart
one of the
turned to
young
stone
men
by
and a
grief,
donkey,
she
that I
carried
may
his
run to
lifeless
the
body
man of
up to the
God.
upper room and laid him on the bed of the man
Is
of
all
God.
well?
She shut the door
It is
on
well.
death and went out with a singular,
It
fierce
is well.
purpose. Send me one of the young men and a donkey,
We are going
she
as
told her
fast as
husband,
we can,
that I may
mistress.
run to the
Hold
man of
on
God
tight.
and come back. Ignoring his questions
small
about the
cloud
holy
of
days,
dust
she
rising
merely
from the
said,
plain.
"It is
It
well,"
is the messenger.
concealing her agony
Run now
to maintain
and
her
overtake
focus.
him.
She drove
It
the
is
servant
well.
hard,
Move
saying,
aside.
"Go
We must
forward.
reach the
Do not
prophet."
slacken the pace for me unless I tell you," racing toward Mount Carmel. Elisha saw her coming from afar, her figure distinct against the horizon, and sent Gehazi to greet her. "Is it well with you? Is it well with the child?" Gehazi asked, but she brushed past him with a breathless, "It is well," saving her truth for the prophet. She reached
did you do
Elisha
this to
and
me?
fell to the ground, grabbing his
I
feet in
trusted you,
desperation, a
and
mother
now he
fighting
is
for her child's
gone.
life. Gehazi moved to push her away, but Elisha stopped him, seeing the raw pain in her eyes.
Take
"Did I
this
ask a
staff,
son of my
Gehazi, and
Lord?"
hurry ahead.
she cried
Do
out,
not greet
her
anyone on the
voice
way.
I will
cracking.
not leave you, my lord. As
Elisha understood instantly. Death had stolen the gift. He sent Gehazi ahead with his staff, commanding him to lay it on the boy's face. But the mother refused to leave Elisha's side. "As the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, I will not leave you," she vowed. And so Elisha arose and followed her. Gehazi tried the staff, but there was no sound, no hearing, no life. The boy remained cold. Elisha arrived, entered the room of death, and shut the door, leaving the weeping mother outside. He prayed to the Lord, then lay upon the child, putting his mouth to his mouth, his eyes to his eyes, and his hands to his hands. He stretched himself out, pouring his warmth and faith into the cold vessel, and the flesh of the child began to warm. Elisha paced the room,
God,
wrestling
you
in
have
prayer,
restored my
and stretched
son.
himself out again.
Behold, he is alive.
Suddenly, the silence was broken. The child sneezed 7 times, expelling death, and opened his eyes. Elisha called the mother, and when she saw her son alive, she fell at the prophet's feet in overwhelming gratitude before picking up a boy. But the miracles did not end there, for a famine plagued the land, and the sons of the prophets looked to Elisha for
We are
sustenance.
poisoned.
A large pot of stew was boiling, but a well-meaning student had gathered wild gourd from vine he did not know and sliced them into the pot. As the men began to eat, they spat it out, clutching their throats and crying, "Man of God, there is death in the pot."
What are these 20
Unfazed,
small
Elisha
loaves
called
among
for
100
flour,
men?
cast it
Give
into
it
the
to
bubbling
people,
stew,
for thus
and
says the
commanded,
Lord,
"Serve
they
it to
shall
the
eat
people."
and have enough.
They ate, and the
What?
poison was
Shall I
gone,
set this before
neutralized by the
100
power
men?
of God, working through simple means. Shortly after,
What?
a man
Shall I
brought
set
20
this
loaves
before
of barley
100
bread,
men?
a meager offering for 100 hungry men. "Give it to the
this staff
people
and
that
go
they may
quickly to that
eat,"
house.
Elisha
Master,
ordered.
what if? Do as I command. Do.
His servant scoffed, "What? Shall I set this before
It is
100
truly
men?
a miracle from the Lord, and it is.
Give it to the people," Elisha insisted, "for thus says the Lord, they shall eat and have some left over." And just as spoken, the bread multiplied, satisfying their hunger with baskets remaining. Far to the north, in the hostile land of Syria, lived Naaman, a commander of the army, a great and honorable man, a mighty man of valor. But beneath his polished
know
armor and
someone who
fine
can
robes,
heal you.
his skin was rotting with leprosy,
must go
a secret
to him.
shame that no military victory could cure.
Take
A
this
young
letter
girl,
to the king of
a
Israel.
captive from
It is
Israel
my
who
royal
served
command
Naaman's
that they
wife,
assist you in
spoke with
finding
a
cure.
boldness born of
Thank you, Your
faith.
Majesty. I will not fail you.
If only my master were with the prophet who is in
Adonai.
Samaria, she whispered,
Why have you
for he would
forsaken
heal
us?
him of his leprosy. Desperate
the Lord
for hope,
says this,
Naaman took this word to the
"By
king
this
of Syria,
time tomorrow,
who sent him to the
the
king of
price
Israel with a letter
flour and
and a
barley in
fortune in
Samaria
gold
will
and
be
silver.
restored."
The king of Israel read the letter and tore his clothes in panic, crying, "Am I God, to kill and make alive?" fearing a trap for war. When Elisha heard of the king's distress, sent a message, "Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet
He
in
has
Israel."
insulted my honor.
Naaman arrived with his horses and chariots, a magnificent procession stopping at the humble door of Elisha's house.
Better than this.
Expecting a grand reception, Naaman was insulted when a messenger simply came out and said, "Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and you shall be clean." Naaman flew into a
If the
rage,
prophet had
his
asked you to
pride
do some
wounded.
great thing, would you not have done it?
"Are not the
True
rivers of
leadership,
Damascus better
sire,
than all the
is
waters of
knowing when to
Israel?"
show
he shouted,
mercy,
turning his chariot
not just
around in fury.
power.
But his servants, wiser in that moment than their master, reasoned with him gently. "My father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? How much more then, when he says, 'Wash and be clean'?" Humbled,
Now I
Naaman
know
went
that
down
there
to the
is
muddy
no
Jordan
God
River
in all
and
the
dipped himself
world
once,
except in
twice,
Israel.
3 times.
You have healed me.
By the 7th time, he rose from the water, and his skin was not just healed. It was restored like the flesh of a little child. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he returned to Elisha, declaring, "Indeed, now I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel." He tried to press gold and silver upon Elisha, but the prophet refused, saying, "As the Lord lives, I will receive nothing." Elisha wanted Naaman to know that God's grace could not be bought, but
Thank you,
Gehazi,
honored master.
standing in the shadows, had a heart
I
filled
ran
with
to
greed.
overtake you.
As Naaman
My
departed,
master
Gehazi
sent me.
thought,
He said
"My
that 2
master has
prophets have
spared
arrived
this Syrian.
unexpectedly.
I will run
He
after
asks
him
for a
and
talent
take
of
something."
silver and some garments for them.
He chased down the chariot, and when Naaman saw him, the commander stepped down to meet him. Lying through his teeth, Gehazi said, "My master has sent me, saying 2 young prophets have just arrived. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments." Naaman,
I'm sorry,
generous and
master,
grateful,
but
gave him
I
double what he
truly
asked,
don't know what you
and Gehazi
mean.
stashed the loot in his
I
house
haven't left
before
your
returning
side
to Elisha.
all day.
"Where did you go, Gehazi?" Elisha asked, his eyes seeing through the walls
The
and
leprosy
the
of
lies.
Naaman will cling to you.
"Your
Where have you
servant did
been,
not go
Gehazi?
anywhere,"
Did you really think you
Gehazi
could deceive
replied
me?
smoothly.
No, master. I have not.
Elisha's
The leprosy
voice
of Naaman
dropped,
will cling
heavy
to
with
you
judgment.
and your descendants forever.
"Is it time to receive money and clothing?" Elisha asked, exposing the corruption of his servant's heart. "Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and your descendants forever." And Gehazi went out from his presence leprous, his skin as white as snow, a tragic end to a life that had been
just
so
stand there.
close to the
Run.
holy fire. Elisha's life continued to be marked by wonders, from an axe head floating on water to chariots of fire guarding the hills. Even in
Lord
death,
anoints you
his
this
bones
day
held
to be
such
prince
power that a
over
dead
his
man,
inheritance.
thrown into his grave,
Long live the
revived
king.
and stood on his feet. Thus, the double portion of the Spirit rested upon him, proving to all generations that the God of Israel is the Lord of life and death.